All right, here's the background information. The dog's name is Jasper. That's an alias. Breed Corso, female spayed. Dog's 11 months old, and she was 4 months old when Betty purchased her. Dear John, I have experienced a lot of abuse. I have PTSD, and my Corso loves everyone. She isn't protective of me with strangers at all. I am in need of her to be protective of me and my house so that I don't feel scared all the time. When I take her for walks, as soon as she sees someone, she lunges away from me and wants them all to pet her. I socialized her really well when she was young. I heard that was the way to raise a Corso. But now it's getting out of hand. It is very important for me to have her not let anyone just walk into my house or for her to want everyone to touch her. I need advice, please. With my mental issues, I can't handle strangers. Thank you in advance. Betty in the USA, and that's an alias for Betty. These three statements jumped out to me. One is the person here who wrote has PTSD. Second, she writes that I'm in need of her to be protective over me and my house so I don't feel scared all the time. And three, it's very important for me to have her not let anyone just walk into my house or for her to want everyone to touch her. So I guess based on what's been written, I'm really unclear as to whether this person's goal is a personal protection dog or an emotional support dog. If it's the former, she needs to understand what it takes to train and maintain a guard dog, especially a breed like a Corso. If you want a gun with a brain, you'd better be ready to assume that level of responsibility for the lifetime of the dog. These dogs would become a hobby and not a pet. If the goal is an emotional support dog, then I think you've got the wrong idea, because this is not what they're for. Her purpose should be there to make you feel better because she's a buddy, not to intimidate people. If you simply want her to be better behaved, that I have some suggestions for, and they'll follow shortly. But I'm going to circle back here to using her or any dog to intimidate others, particularly for people in that with that sort of PTSD. Because I get a fair amount of letters and inquiries from people in the military. And it's usually guys, and they often have already, they bought some Corso, and they want the dog to be their emotional support dog. And these are not people who are asking me to, because I'm not clear on this particular letter here, but in most of the inquiries, it's clear they're not looking for a dog that they're trying to intimidate others. They just are attracted to kind of the macho-ness of a Corso, so they get a dog they like. But it's not the dog I would select for anybody in that context, because just play devil's advocate. If somebody is really suffering from PTSD, it's no small thing. And if that purpose of that dog is to allow you to get out in the world, that would be great. But the genetics of this dog are guard dogs. And, once they hit, 18 months to 3 years of age, they get to a point where those genetics come in, and very few people actually put the time in to train any dog, let alone a dog with guarding genetics, just to be obedient and listen. And so by the time those things start to come out, you've got yourself a 100-pound plus dog who you have a bit of a breakdown out in public, and now a first responder can't get near you safely. Or let's say that doesn't even happen, but the dog's guarding instincts will kick in. You're in a store and somebody reaches to give you the change, and the dog misinterprets that act, and somebody's acting the jack near you. I don't think that this is the breed that I would pick for this. I get it, but I would hate for people in that state of mind, having that legitimate PTSD problems, to end up not being able to go places because their dog can't handle it, because they picked the wrong dog for the job. So yeah, that's my little diatribe on breed selection and for emotional support dogs. But it's not that it can't be done. I had a crazy amount of mail about some crazy person insisted that Siberian Huskies were great, like it was a guide dog or something they wanted. That's just nonsense. This is one of the worst breeds you could pick for that. They're designed to eat fish and pull sled. Are they loving dogs? They can be. Can they be super obedient? Yeah, but it's more the exception rather than the rule. If you're going to pick a breed that is more likely to give you the best return on your investment. And if it's going to be an emotional support dog, it's going to be an investment. I'm not talking about money, although it certainly can be. I'm simply talking about getting that dog trained to the point where it can go places and do things. If you say come, it does no matter what. If you say stay, it does no matter what. And if you say heel, you can come home and your arms are the same length. So let's forget about making this Cane Corso less friendly and instead focus on the person just learning to teach the dog how to control her friendly. Because, after 7 months of owning this dog, she hasn't made any progress at all in teaching even simple obedience, which is a concern, I suppose, for most dogs. But it's a real concern for a Cane Corso. This is how so many of them get into so much trouble. This puppy early adolescence period of overt friendliness, I've written about this a lot, that the average Cane Corso seems to they really kind of fool people because they, for the most part, I mean, if you really know what you're looking for, you can see it. But for the most part, to the lay person, they look and behave, well, not look, but they behave an awful lot like they're a Labrador Retriever until they hit about 18 months of age. And so 18 months to 3 years. And that's, they move into adulthood and they just become what their genetics have told them to be. But you don't want any dog, in my view, but certainly a Cane Corso, to be driven for the first 18 months of its life by somebody it thinks is a roommate, because essentially it's just hormones and, the evolutionary programs of the species and the selective breeding characteristics of the breed driving the behavior. And usually you start to see that problem, as I said, around the 18 months. So if in 7 months, you can't teach you haven't taught this dog the basics, that's where you should start. And certainly no ethical personal protection trainer for dogs is can even listen to you if you don't have if you haven't learned how to teach this dog to stay, come, heel, no matter what. It is that's the place to start here. So how to go about this? It's you think, well, just go get some training. It's not easy. Any breed of dog, basically all we're encountering anymore is an entire industry driven by people who love dogs, who call stuff science that is not science. And so 80% of the training you're going to encounter is going to be stuff like treat, and with crazy alluding to, oh no, there's science to support this. There's science to support that if you're teaching tricks, but not life skills. And you got a Cane Corso, a treat's a $50 bill. That dog is going to see lots of $100 bills in life. So what you want is to have the dog love you, but you get that for free, but respect you. And that is that is a way to live with a dog and train a dog. A lot of times you run into this with this breed where you get people who go, oh, I know the breed, the Cane Corso, and they're might is right trainers. And it's yank and crank, and a lot of them can handle it, the dogs can, but it's not transferable over to a lot of dog owners, and it's a crappy way to teach an animal. I'm not a big fan. There's a few books on my website. I'm trying to think what would be the best. There's one that is just basically tells you everything. It just basically goes into a lot more detail about the flaws in that might is right approach and that all positive, it's the new science type approach, and outlines what some trainers say, well, I'm balanced, I use both. And there's a lot of flaws in that because they're usually not. And then there's something that I call it fully balanced. And so that book is to sort of help you help to understand whether the trainer you talk to is marketing or really knows what they're talking about. There's another book there. I wrote it so long ago. These are ebooks. What's the title? The Beautiful Balance. It's dog training with nature's template. So basically, it's a short PDF, but it gives you a bit of a synopsis of some of the nonsense I just talked about, but gives you some direction on what to do with the dog to build a relationship and teach some of these foundation skills. There's another option, which, the purpose of this channel is not to encourage people to book appointments with me. I've got enough appointments, but I do book a lot with Corso owners because it's hard to find somebody who knows what they're talking about. But obviously, if you're in the US, I'm in Canada here, we're not going to do anything in person. But I have the virtual program I've got. It's hard to kind of understand how intense it is. Yes, there's a Zoom section. That's the easy part. What we do with a dog like this is, I would want you to send me some video of the problems you're having. And again, I've seen goofy courses before. I want to see what you're doing with the dog. And in the Zoom, what we do is I lay a foundation. This is how your dog sees the world. Here's how it makes connections between who's the teacher and who's the student. Here's how we proceed. Now, if you send me video in advance, I'll have a kind of an idea of what your dog's personality is like as well. And then we can kind of tailor what we do. But once that initial 2.5 hours of Zoom time goes past, you have to, well, you don't have to, it's your money, but I will, for 30 days, take every video you send me of the exercises I'm going to recommend with this dog to teach this dog how to exert self-control. I don't want to wreck this dog's friendliness. I want to improve this dog's ability to listen to you. Whether the dog's aggressively friendly or aggressively territorial, when you're out in public, that dog is supposed to, see somebody. And I think you mentioned the dog lunges towards a person. Well, what I want the dog to do is stop, look at you, and go, should I bite him? Should I go over and get him? You're not part of the equation right now. And I suspect you're trying to control a dog in an environment that is a little bit like trying to teach a child that's 5 years old how at the gateway of Disneyland to do geometry when you're a substitute teacher and you got to socially distance everybody. I suspect what you need to do is break things down into smaller steps. Let's build a relationship first. Once we got the relationship going, and we teach that through some exercises, get that dog learning to look at your tone and your body language, not your fingers, to see what, am I going to get a treat here? That's aiming at a dog's stomach. That dog was bred to love you more so than most dogs. Any of these guarding breeds, they really, really will bond with you. But they don't naturally respect you. But once you get the full picture, it's amazing what you'll get out of any dog, but especially a Corso. Then I think you'll be able to go places with confidence. You will have a well-behaved dog that is just minding its own P's and Q's. And then the dog's a deterrent. I mean, what person in their right mind is going to, verbally assail you, let alone physically, when you've got, that giganto dog right beside you? They're intimidating looking dogs. So I think a deterrent is better. If you want, there is on this YouTube channel, there is a video that I think the person who wrote this letter should have a look at. It is how to teach a dog how to bark, even aggressively bark, without being aggressive, with a hand signal or the words "warn him." All your dog needs to do is get the signal from you and go woof, woof, woof. And then in those, when I was reading your letter here, I don't know what the history is, but obviously it's serious. But overall, the people that you cross paths with, the people who come into your home, are people that are there that care about you. They're family, friends, acquaintances. The people that you encounter on the street, they're just going to be neighbors. They're just going to be innocent people. We don't want a dog that's constantly I mean, that's hard on a dog. What we want is just a deterrent. So let's say in some of those situations that, yes, your spidey sense goes off. Well, you don't want your dog to go all Cujo on anybody, but a little hand signal or warn him, woof, woof, and the person goes, whoop, oh, sorry. And you say, just, I need a little distance here. I'm not interested, whatever. So there's a video on how to do that. It's a trick. I think I've taught tons of dogs to do it. It's hilarious because the dog just thinks they're going to get to play ball or tug of war or treat or something because we're just teaching tricks. But the other people don't know that. So the warn him trick, I'd have a look at that video too. I'll try and remember to put a link in it, but it just should be on the channel here somewhere. So what else have I got on my notes here? If you continue down this path, I'm guessing here, if you're thinking about trying to get this dog to be more aggressive and you're looking for some help with that, you're going to find it. There are no shortage of idiots out there that think they know how to protection train a dog. Any idiot can fan the flames of a Cane Corso's guarding instincts, but without a real foundation, before that's even done, and a full comprehension of, essentially, you've equipped yourself with a gun with a brain. And you really have to understand that and embrace the accompanying lifetime of the dog's lifetime of responsibility that's associated with that. I think you're setting yourself up for a lot more stress and perhaps even exacerbation of your condition. I can't tell you how many aggressive Cane Corsos that can't be controlled by the owners end up getting put down. So choose your path forward very carefully. I think there's a path there, and I understand how I'm getting the impression from your letter to me where you're coming from, but I just slow that down a little bit, and I would do this in compartments. If you get yourself to the point where you go, well, you know what, I'm really into this dog training thing, and you want to take up a formal type of training, contact me as far as teaching guard dog work, then reach out again, and I'll try and connect you with somebody who knows what they're doing in teaching a dog how to exert self-control, turn on, turn off. But if you can't get your dog to control itself just around somebody it sees on the street, you're not ready for that yet. I don't know who doesn't know how to do this, but everybody mentions it. So don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell if you want to be notified every time there's a new video. I try and put about one a week up. But if you really want to show your support for common sense and science and companion dog training and keep these videos coming, look for the Buy Me a Coffee link in the notes. I can't tell you how good it makes me feel when I get notified that someone bought me the equivalent of a cup of coffee because they found the free content I provide helpful. Alternatively, don't forget to check out the ebooks that I've written. Again, there'll be a link in the notes. And if you have a dog that's turned one of your arms longer than the other, check out the dog training collar I designed. It's not a cure-all, but it will help.